Start with the pledge. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody had got a copy of the minutes from September 8th. Looking for a motion to approve. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next is, are these on? Yep. Okay, all right, so we'll start with public comment. Is there any public comment? No public comment. Okay, then we'll start with highway. Randy.
All right. First thing, this Thursday is the last Thursday for garbage pickup for the year. We go back to just one day a week. Try to let everybody know that so we don't have a million garbage bags out on next Thursday. Seems to happen every year, so.
I kinda like that,
So that's-
every day a week.
So that's the 22nd, 23rd, is that the 24th?
Seems like we must use less garbage for
Just stop with that, Mike.
records in the winter time.
Okay.
So the other major news, which has been another pain in some of our neck, is the state DOT removed the dam underneath the bridge today. So that has been removed,
Hot item.
Beaver Dam?
the Beaver Dam. So we've gotten numerous calls and complaints and so on and so forth, and between DOT and DEC and whoever.
What are the complaints?
They can't
The
get
Beaver Dam was
kayaks.
there and the kayakers couldn't kayak through.
We've had at least 4 calls to my office, and then the Lake Pleasant Sac and Dog Association decided to put them to me also.
Orfield Dam?
No,
Park
Lake
Street?
Pleasant Bridge,
Oh, Lake Pleasant.
inlet to Lake Pleasant.
I had no idea there was a beaver dam on there.
But I guess
Well, if you'd been in my office, Chris, you would have known all about it.
the kayakers wanted it kept?
They want it removed so they can
Oh,
kayak through the channel. And
Yeah.
didn't like to get out and get over the, it's too much work to get over the dam.
Right.
And they also, one person had concerns because he and his wife had went out and checked it out, and I guess the water on Lake Pleasant was so low, and that was one of the reasons it was stopping the flow of water.
But, okay.
So, I guess I need to back up. What work was done today?
Today, the Beaver Dam
Was removed.
was extracted with DOT's excavators.
Right, so they should be happy.
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody
Okay,
should be
I-
happy.
They were
I lost
not
something.
happy, today they're happy.
Gotcha, that I did not pick up. Okay.
They called and told you they were happy?
They
No,
haven't called, that's why I know they're happy.
Oh, okay.
No news is good news.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't affect the water level of Lake Pleasant at all.
no.
No, this
No.
down here does.
Yeah.
It was reported by a couple of historians in the county that Christine Falls Dam was keeping Lake Pleasant level up to where it is now. Before that dam was put in, it was a lot lower. But Christine Falls has no effect whatever on the level of the lake.
I thought I saw that on Facebook.
Well, a recent posting was a picture of one of the hotels sending a water truck down into the lake to collect water for themselves, for their extra water. And the water level was unbelievably low.
Right.
And their caption was that this was before Christine Falls.
Yeah.
But you said there's no correlation, right?
No, there's 3 sets of rapids between the lake and Christine Falls Dam. And another in the Conjumac River goes.
Well, the Conjumac would affect things, but you're right, I guess Lake Pleasant pretty much seeks its level and.
I think it's a construction by the bridge, actually.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like a natural burn.
Right. So,
Good news then.
yes, other than good news is Donnie Pinkerton Jr. III received his Class B CDL today.
yay.
Good.
So he's well on his way for that. Next on the good news thing is we chip sealed Hamilton Lake Road last week. And the only thing we have left is shoulders, which we're going to do after we pave the rest of our roads. We're gonna do all of our roads at one time with the shoulder machine from the county. So Hamilton Lake Road is nearing completion. Paving next week, that being said, is next Tuesday and Wednesday at this point. Longview is getting a top coat, and Old Indian Lake Road.
This is next or this, or tomorrow?
Not tomorrow,
Next
a week from tomorrow.
What are they getting ready?
A top coat of blacktop. 2 inches of type 6, if you'd like to know.
What did you say? What are they?
2 inches of type 6 black.
Thank you. I'll put that in my memoir.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I figured you might have in your head.
Is that like a scented high heel, or would that be a 2 inch, like a pony heel?
Well,
It's more like a pump.
Yeah. Could be like a kitten heel. I think that would be yours
before or
too.
after rolling?
Yeah, exactly. It's squeezed down to about 3/4 of an inch.
Right, 1/4 inch per inch.
Okay.
Next is a little bit of, I guess, bad news, is we will not be painting the little bus garage white. As a matter of fact, we will not be painting it at all. This year we are going to wrap half of it in metal, like to match the rest of the buildings. Because when we got done pressure washing after 3 days, maybe 1 1/4 sides of it, by the time the paint that came off, took the primer off, blah, 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 blah. We had the paint and the primer and all the numerous coats and labor and everything else. It was way easier and cheaper to put metal on it like we did the rest of the
That's what
building.
you said, the paint was holding the building up.
Basically, it really basically was. We talked to Bob, some of the windows were broken on that side and such, so we were removing the windows and boarding them up. It's strictly a storage building, it has lights everything was blocking the light anyways on the inside, so we boarded up, took the windows out and boarded them up. I ordered a metal for the front and the left side of it, side facing garage. And we'll complete that this year, and then next year we'll complete the other side. So, that's all I
So
have,
what color are you doing
Is
it?
it a white building when you first pull in?
right in the middle of the yard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I always thought, I thought.
So what color, Randy?
It is going to be brown and tan like the rest of our.
That'll look
complex.
really nice,
Yeah.
because it'll blend the back with our
Everything will
office.
blend together
Yeah.
except for the rental bus garage, the school bus garage in the back. So that's the plan, that's all I had.
Okay. Okay, so next under old business is BST Nancy. Have you heard anything?
I did. They sent me emails with more questions. I responded. They needed something from the treasurer's office, from the retirement system, and we got that, and I forwarded it on to them, onto BST, and then they disappeared again. I haven't heard anything in about a week.
Okay.
And that's it.
Still in progress.
They're working on it, I guess.
Okay. Okay, next, Bill Dubendorf stopped in today. Everybody has a copy of his testing from September 21st. As we see, the only one that's gotten a little better is Town Hall. The rest really have not. And he does have some concerns with the systems getting older. He said they're all in good condition, everything's working fine, but he would suggest that we think about budgeting money so that when the time comes, you're talking between around $4,500 to replace one of the systems. So he thinks it's a good idea if we start preparing now, so it's not all at once.
He gave you a price on that too, Babs.
Well, the price, yeah.
Okay.
This is for our spare unit that he wants to have, which would be $3,100 that we wanted to have on the shelf. But I was asking him today because I thought that in Mr. Blennis's house, he had the one from our shelf, but he wanted his back. But the problem is Bill is having a hard time. He can find the motor, but he can't find all the parts. They're kind of becoming obsolete is what the issue is. So, his suggestion would be is that we think about getting another system and have it on the shelf.
And that's the 3,100.
That would be the $3,100. Estimated shipping would be $150, so it would make it 31, it's around that. So that's where we stand with that. We did receive a bill from him, from coming up and testing all the wells, it was $160. I did ask him today, he charges $85 an hour, but keep in mind, he doesn't charge traveling, and he doesn't charge for any supplies, that's everything included. So that's the story with Bill. Anybody have any questions? Not that I know I can answer them.
I would just say that it's probably a wise idea to do as he says and put it in the 2021 budget.
Yeah. He's waiting to hear from Mr. Glennis, to have his system taken out. Stubbs is ready to come out, but he would like to do them the same day so he can bring up his trailer, take them both out the same day and get them stored. And that was pretty much it on Bill. So next is our building code enforcement. Neil, you want to give an update?
Well, the update I will hand to, Chris has done some yeoman work here, answering some of the questions that have to do with the payback. Should we pull the trigger on these proposed increases in the building inspection fees? But I'll let Chris take it since he did the work.
Well, what I did is I took the 3 years that I had the information for, 2017, 2018, 2019, the information being how many of each kind of permit was issued each of those years. Then I figured out how much money that brought in permit fees. And then I did a comparison between that and the proposed fees. I averaged all the fees from the current fees collected in the last 3 years, came out to $4,082 a year. I averaged what they would have been under the new proposed fee schedule, and that would come out to $6,458 a year. So that leaves a difference of $2,376, which is enough to, within 2 years, well, probably 3, because the quote for the software is $4,150 for the program, and then after that, annual support $942. So within less than 3 years, we'll break even on that, and afterward, we'll be in good shape with permit fees for a while.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very good.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's good to have the payback on something like this. There's other things other than, you know, just what we'll get to pay it back. There's all the things that Bob delineated for the Williamson software, as far as continuity and handing it over and having real records that are chartable. But when you see a good path and to pay for it, I think that's wise.
So I know Bob and I had met with Jeanette Barrett at Village Hall last week, and the village is also working on the same proposed fees. So I would like to not move this tonight and table it till next meeting so that we can be sure that they're on board and they're ready to go with it. But we would like to get it done as quick as possible so we can start advertising and get the word out there.
Makes sense.
So we'll table that. The next thing we have, which we've been working on, is the roadway driveway permit. Everybody got a copy? Ray, do you want to explain about what it costs us to do this and what we were getting?
Sure. I can have a copy of that.
I'm sorry.
Sure. We originally were doing a very minor fee for the driveway permit. And then we were charging $100 per 20-foot section. And that the landowner would have to supply the culvert. That's still staying the same, so we'll take the culvert out of the equation. The $100 fee it was costing us from Graymont's about $70 to buy the stone, and we figured in the fuel charges to haul it up here, so it was about $100. Well, as we all know, Graymont's no longer in existence, so now we are driving 2.5 times as far and paying more money for the stone. So those prices went up. Then we figured out, as things went on, that it takes typically a dump truck, it takes a backhoe, it takes a tamper, it takes 1 or 2 guys, plus if any, with, you know, being where most of our town roads, 1 or 2 person to do the flagging. So for 2 hours, we have 4 or 5 guys on the average doing a driveway culvert. So the $100 was definitely not covering what we were paying out for it. The reason we wanted to take over this is because we wanted the culverts put in correctly and the approaches coming into the road done correctly. So now to make our, you know, more closer to making ourselves whole with this whole process, it's still way cheaper than somebody going out and hiring somebody to put a culvert in their roadway. The fees that you see in front of you are way more appropriate for covering our costs. Not only for the stone, but for the fuel, the trucking, the manpower, and so on and so forth. That's why when we were gonna redo the permits, I thought this would be a perfect time, and Betsy brought it up to my attention, and Bob, this is the time to do it, let's get it all together.
So, any discussion?
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have put in a driveway off of state property, you're responsible, the homeowner is responsible for putting the culvert in.
Correct.
And the state has guidelines that you go by.
Correct.
To do it. And the town doesn't wanna do that because of why?
Well,
Why does the town have to,
why is the town getting involved in it,
yeah,
is what you're saying?
yeah,
Back then, and I still think currently, we felt that if contractors and such were doing it, they weren't, you know, we would have to babysit everybody doing it. The state has regulations, and I've seen several times where they're not done correctly, and there's a whole lot more culverts going in on town roads and such than they are to state roads. That's the only reason that we did it. I mean, if you wanna draw it up and have Bob babysit every one of them, then coming into the town road, you know.
well, I don't see people babysitting the ones off the state road, cause I know I had to repair mine. And I had to buy insurance and then plus pay for a permit from the state to do it.
Correct.
Go by their guidelines, and they did come and inspect it after it was done, and I didn't have to change a few things. But it just seems like if these are the fees that we wanna charge, they seem cheap for us to do.
Right, I mean, we're not in the business of making
No,
money per se.
Cover our expenses.
I'm just trying to cover the expenses part of it.
yeah, I mean, 5 people for a couple hours. How much money per hour does it cost the town to pay for those 5 guys to be there for 2 hours? I mean, to me, that would cover the $200 right there, let alone the materials and the shipping.
Well, I think we were trying not to jump it up too high right from the start because we've been so low. We were trying to just cover our expenses. on this. I think is where we were going.
That's,
I mean, if we find that this is still costing the taxpayers money, then we'll have to maybe revisit it again next year or in 2 years or whatever and make adjustments.
right. The other option is to go like the state did at some point in time and just say, okay, you need a permit, you need insurance, you need all of this. But that's all, you know, opening up a very big process.
So, just so I'm clear, because I have the luxury of living on Route 30, we have no culverts there. This issue is visited each time the state pays?
No,
How often would this cost be incurred?
anytime someone wants to put an access into the state highway.
Right, but after that one time, what about people who already live on access to the state highway? Do they have times when they're doing repair where they'd have this cost come to them too?
No.
No.
No, when say the state comes by your house and pays, the little 1.5 foot apron is just brought out to your driveway.
Yeah, I know the cutout, I'm
Yeah.
talking where water is involved and culverts are involved.
Is it just town roads that you have to do?
Yes, we just only take care of the town road.
So, I guess what I'm saying is on the town roads, is this something that only would be pertinent for a new lot that's being developed?
Yes. So, once they are in and they are in correctly, we, the town, maintain everything from the backside of the ditch,
Right.
the farthest point, which means that culvert.
Mhm.
So we have replaced several and many, even the summer, culverts that were put in, even plastic ones that, you know, got the frost eat
collapsed,
them
yeah,
up
sure.
or collapsed or whatever, we take care of them from there on.
Gotcha.
We replace them,
That's all I was trying to
yeah.
ascertain. I had,
This cost is primarily and pretty much solely for new entrances to the town road. And that's where we started having people just put gravel on the side of the road, filling in and going.
yeah,
It was, you know, no. There's also the scenario where there's no culvert needed. Now, when people do this, it's a whole nother game because say they're at the top of a hill, or the crest of a hill, and they don't need a culvert, so they feel they don't need a permit.
sure.
Well, we still like to know that they're putting it in correctly because when they say put 6 inches of gravel, our snowplow wing comes down and hits that gravel, it's, you know,
It's gone.
it's either gonna gone or it's frozen in and then our wing is damaged, or the truck.
So you wanna make
So,
sure that they're
we
put in
got-
correctly. Sure.
Bob and I monitor every driveway going in.
Mhm.
And that, you know, so there's no fee for it because we're not doing any work, we're just telling them that they can't do this or that.
Right.
Do we ask for insurance? No. Do we call, I have to call in this process, I also have to call DIG and go through that whole process, make sure there's no wires and everything else. So that would go in Don's scenario, that would all go on to more fees for the landowner. To call DIG and get that all done and, you know, or,
On a property owner that's on the state road.
right,
Yeah.
no, on any road.
Oh, okay.
It still has to be done on town roads. So,
Yeah, but he's saying the landowner is responsible to do it on state roads.
yes,
What is
Where
the
you're
driveway permit
responsible.
right now without the culvert?
20, right now, I think it's 25.
25, and then it was
$100
$100 for 20 foot
20
length.
Oh, it's $100 per 10 feet,
20 feet. It's-
for 20 feet.
Yeah.
So now you're
Length-
saying
length.
75 plus 200 for 10 feet.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Basically 75 plus 400 for 20.
Yeah, I'm thinking, since the town takes total care of this once it's in, for the rest of the life of the town, I guess.
Basically,
Or the driveway.
or until someone decides it's not a driveway.
Right.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of like leaning with Don's position.
So You're saying go higher?
No, they're saying to make it all on the tax, if I get this right, all on the taxpayer to
The homeowner,
the
or
homeowner,
property owner.
to have this installed, but it has to go, we have to come up with guidelines, take basically copy the state's guidelines. And a permit, where they have to show plans, they have to have insurance, they have to have everything else, because you have to get insurance in order to work in the town right away.
Isn't this sort of going backwards? Because we've been
This
doing
is
this
where we
for
used to
several
be.
years.
Don, you think that town shouldn't be involved?
Way back when Jack was here, that's the
Oh, I
way we did it,
understand.
but we didn't have insurance requirements, we didn't, they just haphazardly put things in. And now we're finding out that that's not.
And you're having to deal with it.
Right, and we ended up almost losing a road, 4 years ago, because somebody did this with too small of a culvert, and it plugged, and then it almost took the road out in just a normal 4th of July rainstorm.
Which was what prompted you guys to do
Which
this from the
prompted
start.
us to start this whole permit
To
process,
alleviate this
and we
problem.
start installing culverts. It's how Wells does it, I believe Indian Lake does it that way,
Mm-hmm.
so on.
Well, I didn't understand, Don was saying he didn't think that we should be involved at all. I think you should be involved.
Well, yeah, the state's involved, they send
The
an
state's
engineer
involved,
to
they do.
look.
Yeah.
Then they give you the guidelines of what you have to
The
do.
state's involved with the town roads.
No, with the state roads.
Well, I thought we were talking about town roads.
Well, we are, but you're comparing state to town. State, when you apply to put a culvert in, they send an engineer to look.
Mhm.
He writes up the specs that you have to put in. Culvert, depth of culvert, everything else. The diffusers on the end,
So Chris, these are
all this.
town parcels that back into or pull into state highways,
Like my house.
as opposed to where
Right,
Randy lives. And I mean, that's, okay, that's, just wanna make sure that everyone's on the same page,
Then they give you the design that you have to do.
or that Nancy lives.
You hire a contractor, he's responsible for contacting the call before you dig,
Oh, yeah.
do all that stuff. Then you put it in, the state inspector comes and looks at it again.
Because I just had to
And
replace
it's
my
it's
culvert,
not done to their specs, you gotta redo
and I
it.
had to pay.
You would do?
The only problem you run into is like Randy was saying, that if you don't keep your culvert clear and something happens to it, like a rainstorm like on Halloween,
Yeah.
yeah, it starts washing. Mine started washing, the state's come and looked at it.
Chris and I live on Route
Okay,
30,
so-
you know, in the city here.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
City.
where we have,
We
we
don't
have,
have these
we have
Big
storm,
city.
you know, we're not in the country, you know, we have storm drains for crap shit like this. I mean,
Okay, so consensus here, let's get this figured out. So,
Do we wanna be involved in putting them in, or do we want to have the homeowner hire somebody to put them in to our specs? That would involve the homeowner / contractor, A, having insurance, B, filling out all the plans, drawing up plans,
More work on Bob.
and then us following up with them, making sure and enforcing it.
That's right.
That's a whole nother
This is
game.
more work.
Our code enforcement officer, Bob, is going to have to go back and check on every one of these that happens and say, is this to what our specs were?
How many per year, basically,
Yeah, I can't
average
imagine
do you
many.
know, put in?
No, we put in,
2 or 3?
I would say up to 4 a year, but I happen to know that just on Fish Mountain Road alone, there's 4 or 5 properties that sold this summer that are going to be getting driveways.
Yeah, I'm not against the town putting them in. It's just, I don't think all the taxpayers in the town should be responsible for putting some of the costs towards these culverts and materials.
Right. Well, the culverts are on the
Yeah,
taxpayer.
culverts on the taxpayer, but the materials,
Right.
well, going from $100 per 20 feet to $200 per 10 feet, that's quadrupling that charge.
right, but it still doesn't pay for it. In my mind, at least.
I don't know, probably not. I'm just wondering if we get too fussy,
that's what
are we going to discourage people from,
I'm doing the right thing,
yeah.
which we're trying to get away from that.
Well, you're not gonna discourage people because they have to do it.
They have to do it, yeah.
But, whatever, it's my opinion, I'll agree with what the town board agrees with, but it's my opinion that the homeowner, property owner should have to pay for their own materials And it shouldn't be at a cost to all the other taxpayers in town.
And again, it's like I said, it's something that we could possibly, you know, at the end of the year or next year revisit and see, you know, where we stand and if this is covering the expenses, and if not, then we'll have to kind of review it again and go higher.
Yeah.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine, anyway, it's just, this is the simplest way that I thought.
Okay.
And the closest, you know, money wise, am I gonna, you know, clock people in and clock people out? For every, you know, like
No,
a,
it's an
Right.
estimate.
Right,
No, it's an estimate, but materials do vary greatly.
right,
okay, so I guess, I'm looking that we, pass a resolution to adopt the new roadway driveway permit. Had a discussion, so does someone wanna move it?
I'll second.
Okay,
Further into discussion.
any further discussions? Anybody? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next is our dumpster request form.
oh boy.
If you thought the fees were bad on the last one,
Wait till
Don,
you get this one.
wait till you hear this one.
I'll just, I've dealt with dumpsters.
Yes.
Okay,
Hopefully everybody has a copy of this.
yes, I sent everything to everybody
Actually, I didn't-
beforehand.
I printed the first two, the agenda and that one, I did not print this. I think it'd be a quiz.
I might have a sticker.
Here, you can take mine. I got one. I'll share my dumpster form with you, Neil.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I thought I had it committed to memory.
Yeah, you might have, but we're not using we're not using
SATs.
4 yards anymore, we're gonna use the 6 yards.
Yes.
Okay, so currently I do believe, I don't have that page in front of me because things changed.
$40.
It's $40 to drop the dumpster off, and that includes the first $20 dumping fee. Okay. Don, going back to that last statement of all the taxpayers paying for one person's creativity. We are paying $68 a ton, a typical 6-yard dumpster, I would say is going to be at least 2 ton. Depending on what it is. I just had a request today for another dumpster. They were going to fill it 4 to 5 times with shingles.
Hey, don't back up on them, because I've already got reserve ones too.
Exactly, and I said, we don't have a dumpster available probably this fall,
No, wow.
Wow.
because they are backed up that much. Okay, we're not in the dumpster business here. I mean, and I.
And we might
told
not
this
be for
per-
long if
And
they
I
keep
told
being
this person
destroyed.
to call Amsterdam, Google Amsterdam dumpsters, they'll bring one in here that'll probably hold it all. And
Yeah, C&D.
that, yeah, a C&D dumpster and be done with it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, thank you very much, and so on and so forth. Let's face it, we charge demolition fees at $68 a ton. They hire a contractor to bring it out there. They are going to be paying way more than what this paper is suggesting, so.
Way more.
Is it going to curb it? Maybe, but what it's going to do is we have dumpsters out that have been out for probably 2 months now. And they're paying $20 a week.
$10
or
a week.
$10 a week,
$10 a week and $10 for every dump after.
and it's sitting there.
That's the one that
Not
But
surprised
they
me.
don't mind paying $10, but now they're gonna be
They
paying
don't
50.
mind paying $10 to have that dumpster, and they, oh, if I get to it on Sunday, I'll put a little bit more into it.
And Beryl said, oh, I'm okay at 10, 50.
Yeah,
Yeah, his is the one that's been tied
this,
up.
this is what's gonna hopefully slow people down to having a dumpster sitting in their yard at $50 a week.
I've only taken advantage of the town's service here once, and I was, I think I should have known better. I was stunned at how cheap, I knew it was cheap to get it, but I thought there was gonna be some attributable cost that went, and, oh yeah, you get it for a week or two, then we gotta start charging. And I'm thinking, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, I mean,
Exactly.
what a service. But the problem with it is, when it's that marginal in cost, as you say, they tie up the few, it's such a great service.
We only have 3.
Yeah, but it's such a
Oh.
great service to our townspeople that's then mitigated if we don't have any. and we don't have any because we're too generous in the timeframes you're allowed to keep it. I guess that's what I took.
And that's what I feel is the problem right now, is they are sitting there, and these guys come in Monday and Thursday, are we dumping this, or did anybody call to get their dump? No, no.
I think maybe originally this was premised on the wrong fact, that folks wouldn't want a dumpster in their yard for great deals of time. Turns out people don't mind.
No, it's convenient.
Well, let's think what they are.
Well, I'm not gonna go there, but I will say this, it's convenient, and it's where, a lazy guy doing a DIY kind of thing.
Alright,
I'm like, well, I'll do a little bit today, and then the football game starts, and I'm like, well, I'll get to it next week. I mean, you buy these things forever, I mean, $10 a week, it's a steal.
right.
Or for someone who's doing, like a part-time contract worker like Farrah, who's not really at it all day for 2 days, get the job done and ship, call up Randy and say, when can we get this? I think this would discourage that.
And again, we deliver it, and then we go pick it up and dump it, and then take it back, and.
Oh, no, we dump it right in the garbage truck.
Typically,
It stays right on
it
premise.
stays on the premise, we drive in by Monday and Thursday anyways. I really try not to encourage the Saturday, oh, I need it dumped today
Yeah.
because
Yes,
I'm doing that,
Yeah,
And we had a few of them here and there, they're up for the weekend cleaning up grandma's house that passed away, so on and so forth. But, the bulk of it is it's sitting there doing nothing.
well, you can keep it.
The option B, which I wanna throw out there, which I don't wanna do, but option B is to go out and buy a dozen dumpsters at a couple $1,000s a whack. And I really don't think we are in the,
No, if we have 3 that are in good shape, and they do seem to be, what we need to do is get them out and get them back.
get them moving.
Yeah,
you
Well,
know?
this will do it.
this will do it.
And this should do it.
4 square for this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or would you just put a time limit on it?
Well,
Oh, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not good to raise the fee, I think we should. I
Right.
think that's very reasonable still. But I think there should also be a time limit on it.
Well, I thought of that also, there's the next thing. Bill decides to do the tear thing, he doesn't get it he only gets a half done this week. He's gotta get the dumpster out of there, now we gotta pick it up, take it out of there,
Bring it back.
and 2 weeks later, he says, can you bring the dumpster back?
Wow.
So now we're moving the dumpster twice.
Right.
I'm assuming they don't do that at Amsterdam dumpster.
No, I'm thinking not.
I was, my son-in-law just tore a house down over in North Creek. And I think it was a 20-yard dumpster.
Wow.
But that was $1,500 to bring the thing in and dump it. I don't know how many days, they only had a couple days.
20-yard is that C&D one that you see in
Yeah,
big
the
jobs,
big-
right? Yeah.
but that's not bad. You get a contractor with 1 pickup truck or 1 dump truck, and generally runs they're doing, just go to the transfer station and dump all the stuff. I think they're,
Yeah,
Yeah.
right,
This
if you're
is-
paying a handyman to do this
you're touching that
piecemeal
material 3 times.
and easy, a 20-yard would take 2 of those would fill up
Yep.
for a whole house, if you're compacting it, doing it right.
Yep.
Okay,
There's
so,
one other
we
thing
got
I'd
one of
like
those
to
on my
ask
list.
about this.
Yeah.
And me as a driver for delivering and picking them up, what kind of liability does the town have insurance-wise and stuff to do this? Because when you've got that dumpster 6-yarder hanging off the back of the dump truck, you're not only running down the road with it hanging off, that cable should snap, it's gonna let loose. And you're backing, you've got somebody helping you back in, but you're going, some of these places are really tight. And you have to back in, and if you catch a tree or, who's gonna pay for this, or heaven forbid back into somebody's car?
Well,
That,
The town insurance is pretty good, I mean, I'll say
yeah,
that.
on private property.
Sure.
yeah, but we, on our other forums, driveways,
Sorry,
stuff
we-
like that, we have a sign off that says, when you sign this, we are not liable.
A hold harmless, yeah.
Yeah, hold harmless.
That might not be bad to put on.
It might not be a bad idea to put in the next
Yeah.
paragraph
Yeah,
on
I
here.
agree.
But that may.
Sign once agreeing to the
Well, it
fees, then sign
discourages-
again agreeing to the, guess what, if something happens, we back to your septic, we
Right.
slide into your car,
Right.
whatever.
I mean, it would not insulate us from a
A lawsuit.
lawsuit, but it would cut down on any sort of frivolous sort of
So
claims
how do you wanna
to
word
the
that
town
next
hall.
how do you wanna word that next paragraph?
Like on that other form,
Same way.
ICE form?
Oh, the ice storm, okay, I'll
Yeah,
find
it's
that.
just a generic,
Yeah.
harmless.
When are you thinking of starting this, the first of the year?
Yes.
Whenever we change all the rest of the.
Yeah,
Everything.
first of the year, everything, so we can advertise it and have it out there in plenty of time. Do you wanna, this dumpster request form, do we wanna wait till next meeting so we can
I'll add
get it
it.
worded the,
Yeah,
the way
I'll
Deb?
add it and then send it out to everybody.
Okay, and then we'll do it for next meeting.
Frame it up.
We'll table that one. But we just kinda got talking, Bob and I, and it was, the more we talked, we said, you know, if we're gonna do this, we should be doing this right and just do it right across the board.
Right.
And do it now, so that everybody's all prepared, so January 1st they know, because by the end of the year, you just don't know what, if COVID hits again or whatever, this will be old news, everybody understands, everybody knows about it, and we can just move on.
Right, that's why I'm just adding my 2 cents in.
Well, you're supposed to, that's why you're here.
That's why you're here.
Okay,
Nichols were,
next is emergency operations plan, Chris, I know you've been really busy.
Yeah, but I did talk to Heather.
Oh, good.
They have the same problem everybody's having, I hadn't even thought about this, with the COVID problems. She says they're operating under very intensive and stringent guidelines from the CDC, the DOH, state education. It's like every agency you could think of that has any kind of finger in a school pie. They all have their own ideas about how things should be going right now. And she says she doesn't even know where being the town emergency shelter would fit into this. So she has to go back to all these agencies and ask them.
Isn't that the idea of the generator being there and us paying for some of that?
well, it certainly is, but again, this is a new world.
Yeah.
And in order to just get open, I'm sure the superintendents have said yes to
Sure,
every one of
sure.
these, the fingers in the pie that Chris mentioned. I wouldn't press them to have any new,
Right,
just written in stone. It is the emergency shelter. Everyone's gonna have to sort of bend along until every one of these bureaucracies either cools their jets a little bit or decides to work together.
Well, at any rate, if Betsy declares an emergency when we hear a tornado warning, then the standard operation procedure applies.
Exactly.
I was just
tornado
hoping we
with
could do
the-
something a little bit less formal
Tornado
since
season almost over.
I agree, Chris, it's just
So-
that now she's got, her answer to you, I'm sure, is not dodging.
No,
It's doing the same thing
Absolutely.
that we're doing, trying to,
Yeah,
only they're under stricter scrutiny because the kids are there.
so go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I'm sure where they're having the hurricanes down in Louisiana and Texas, they're just throwing the COVID stuff out of the way, so people aren't drowning and everything else, I mean, more.
During Katrina, they put 20,000 people in the Superdome, just
Going,
put
at
them
least
on
you're not dying of
a.
fire.
They put them on a
Yeah.
football field and handed out sandwiches, I mean, you do whatever you gotta do.
Yeah.
Pick your poison, right?
Right,
So I'm just wondering, tornado season's almost over for this year, correct? So
I would think so.
maybe we should table this to maybe like
It is
spring, to early
2020 though.
spring, when
Well,
the virus, we know better where we are,
Sure.
you think?
And, she did say she'll bring it up, well, she has informed her board members of our request. And they'll be discussing it at their next
there you
meeting,
go.
which is mid-October.
Okay,
Well, the virus will be over at the last.
So you wanna leave it on until after, I don't think anything's gonna happen, to tell you the truth.
yeah. Okay, so that's what we'll do, we'll table it till spring. I'll write it in my handy dandy book.
Alrighty.
And you and I will get right on it in springtime. Okay, next is the primary care flooring. The Consolidated Health Board has decided to go with Ruby and Query for the new floors. Their estimate was $17,322. Dave Amidon Floor Care from Indian Lake was $19,529, and we never heard back from the Galleria Flooring Company. We will be using the $10,000 donated money in the TE fund that was actually earmarked for the clinic for any reason. And the balance would be paid for by the Consolidated Health. So, I'm waiting to hear back from 2 more members of the Consolidated Health Board. Once I have their approval, we're pretty much there already, we have the majority, but I'd like to wait for the other 2. We will go ahead and move along with this, but I'm just wondering what everybody's pleasure is. Do you feel we need a resolution here from the town board to use that $10,000 in the TE fund?
I so move.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. Okay, any discussion?
Just that, maybe, I was just gonna say that, are we still getting that same donation from the same?
Usually, yeah.
Might be good if and when the job is complete, maybe a note when, it always goes through the attorney and it doesn't go
Right.
directly to the patron, but still, they seemed, at least in my time there, they seemed interested to know of something he did. He wanted to be able to deliver news.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, that's a great idea. We'll do it.
Chris said so.
I was
Okay.
just gonna ask you to repeat the quotes, I didn't catch
Oh, I'm sorry.
what they
Okay.
were and who they were from.
So, Ruby and Query was $17,322. Dave Amadon was $19,529. And the Galleria Flooring Company, they did come and measure, but they never got back to us, and it's been like 7 weeks, so my assumption is that they're not really interested.
Yeah, it's not.
Thank you.
So,
You're welcome.
I'm to understand, the town budget contribution is that has been set aside for these sort of things, and their additional 7,000 change would be paid through the
Consolidated
health
Health.
district.
So you guys passed a resolution to allow the spending of the 10,000.
I moved it.
And Nancy seconded.
I don't think we
Nancy
got a call yet.
So we didn't, so, okay, so, discussion's over, all in favor?
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Okay, so we're done with that, that's great. Okay, next is new business, and I really don't have too much to report on this, just that Jeanette, Bob and I had a meeting, like I said, a week and a half ago, about his, permit fees, and in the conversation, we discussed a septic law, which we've been talking and kicking around for about a year or 2 now. So in October, the town and the village are going to be forming a committee, and we're going to start working on that.
Good.
So that I don't really have anything else to report on that. I did give everybody some reading information. I just received this paperwork, and it's on the, Charlie Johns has it on the side of the Lane
Yeah.
Emporium building for electric cars to plug in. I really don't know any information on this. And I don't know if anybody had a chance to read it or if anybody wants to check into it, but this is only good till the end of the month and it's a grant. And I don't know where we would put them. I don't know if there's a bigger call for than what we have at Charlie John's. I don't know what has anybody glanced at this?
Where does anybody go to park that would be parked there long enough to charge? Would only be here,
That's what I was
health center, maybe possibly the town hall or Oak Mountain,
Beach.
or the beach.
The parking, the village parking.
That would be the village.
Yeah.
I'd like to see some down at the pavilion.
That's probably a good idea. So you know what? I'll get this to Jeanette tomorrow. That's what I'll
I
do.
don't know if you want to keep that.
Yeah, I'll keep it.
So there are 4 at Charlie John's, well, the
There is
Lane
4.
Emporium, 2 high speed and 2 regular. And I don't know what they have at Lake Pleasant Lodge. I know they have, at least 1 high speed.
Okay.
So,
And how do they work?
And they
I
charge?
assume that they take your credit card. Is that how you pay for the electric itself?
I don't even know.
Chris,
That's how I would figure it.
This grant, Chris, is and was touted by Gary McCarthy, who's the mayor in Schenectady. He's taken advantage of this grant program, and he was mentioning to Betsy that he heard from others, mentioned 2 places Gary goes pretty regularly,
Yes.
Melody and the Inn, where he spoke to folks and maybe it was the staff, maybe it was customers, but people had said, oh, I'd like to have those around. And I thought, geez, that is kind of nice, Betsy, and the grant pays for them, okay? This is just like the upgrades from 9/0, whatever, put them in for free. I'm like, well, where's the juice get paid? I've never had an electric car, I've never seen one work. I see the big turkey claw thing that they plug in. I assume it should be on the people who take the juice. But I never walked up to one to see if they got a credit card reader. Gotta be something like that.
Well, how it look.
Yeah.
But
I've
for
never
now,
looked.
pass it, I would
You know, it's
pass
so
it
funny,
on.
because
I will
at
check on
Hamilton
that.
Lake, we always
I
have the
think
two
that's a great
sports cars
idea
that
to
come up that
have
have like the Ron's riding, so allows you to
parking
park
or
it.
something.
League cords, the extension cords go from one building to the car and they sit there.
So it can, so that
They
would
charge
be,
up, they charge up on this extension league cords.
so that would be tantamount to what Chris is talking about, be a slow charge, right?
That's
It's
a big-
fast and slow.
this
Because
is
if you're just
overnight.
putting in an AC, and putting it in your house, it's gotta go slow to
That's
charge.
all they
your
do is
car.
charge it.
Okay, overnight,
Because,
probably.
they're there for a couple of days usually, so
Sure.
I don't know how long the
Okay.
charge takes. But yeah.
I mean, that's
They're
the-
very big
that's
chapters.
that's
And they
the-
suck the power off and
The
it's so good.
adventurer part of people buying these things is what good are they if you get halfway across your trip and you can't get juice?
Yeah.
Like a Louis Lake.
Exactly.
So does anybody have anything else for new business? No? Okay. Our next meeting will be Monday, October 5th at 7 PM at the library here. Committee reports. Neil?
Really?
Tom?
Not that what we haven't already covered.
Just, we will be meeting with, Nancy and I will be meeting with Matt and Laura in the near future. And, we were discussing today, I don't know if this should be part of the report or not, but there's never been a real contract made up with Oak Mountain, between Oak Mountain and the town. And I think we need to do that. So,
Well, at least some kind of an agreement.
an agreement, or whatever,
Okay.
stating what we're paying.
We used to have an agreement with Oak
Really?
during the years. Sure.
I don't have it.
No? It might be at the, no, I'd say that, clearly, all that stuff out of that credenza did disappear, but I was gonna say, at the
You think we'd
county.
attach, do we, oh, okay, because I was gonna say, could we have attached to? I didn't
Maybe
look at
that was
minutes.
when the village had it?
Well, I came over from the village and I had agreements, went into Frank's office, we signed them and so on, where the town obligated to certain amounts of money, so we definitely had written agreements then.
Yeah.
But it was when the county IDA was involved.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So maybe the
I-
masters ended up there, but, yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't be at your office, but they certainly were in the supervisor's office, absolutely.
That
positive.
might, or they could be in.
Was
the-
there an agreement signed and approved and during the minutes time? Is that-
Sure.
Okay, but now look at
Sure.
the minutes.
But
Yeah,
that's
I can
with
remember
IDA
going,
though.
as mayor, going and shilling in front of the town board for, and it was awkward, because Nancy was on the town board, to, whatever, sell the town board on a more generous package of ski things in order to, A, get the kids more stuff and get more solvency for Oak.
Okay, I'll look through my minutes on it.
Yeah,
But
but you
irrespective,
probably
you
have to
should
come up
always
with
have
something
one.
new.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Tom's right,
Obviously.
if we don't have one currently in standing, we should have one for sure.
Yeah, because I think over the years, things got slipped in that
Yeah.
we really weren't aware of.
right.
Well, and I can tell you how part of that worked was the town budgeted this through Dicky. And Dicky would come and give a presentation of what he had been told from Oak they would do things for. Would say, okay, put that in your budget, and maybe there was never an extension of that same paperwork.
Yeah.
But the cost expenditure was clearly approved. You know,
Oh,
each
yeah,
year.
the dollar
Yeah.
on the
Yeah, so they were
line.
just trying to figure out the wording for a future agreement.
Yeah, and we would have these discussions, right, the discussions about should we be paying, at the time, there was a lot of sort of open cracks in this thing about paying for Paseco kids, and
Oh, yeah.
And then
It still is.
Paseco wouldn't pay for some of the things, and we felt, this is after I'd gotten over to town, felt, terrible about the fact that there'd be like little Johnny and Mary, no, there's no lessons for you, were they gonna leave them on the bus? They all leave from Lake Pleasant School and go over there? It was very awkward.
Well, it
But-
still is.
Yeah, well, I've been reading your notes back and forth, and I realize that there's some of these things that you're not gonna be able to, they shouldn't pass muster. They should be passed along. And the town rightfully would be like, geez, you know, Wells dropped out, didn't do it anymore, and Hope was still throwing some money, it was Morehouse threw money in. But, you have to pay for your youth to have recreation. And I don't know of any more appropriate one in winter than ski.
We split it out at one time, there was a problem with the golf lessons
Yes.
with Arietta. And, it got to the point where it's separate billing, which we follow through now with the ski lessons. It's
Right, that's
separate
how we
billing
started it with the
between.
girl up at this golf course, right?
Right, between the towns, so that there wasn't that confusion where we were paying for, Arietta kids, and a lot of times, we don't even know who these kids are, and it's getting
Sure,
more and more difficult.
nor did they, so they would just
Right.
put them on our account.
Right,
And unfortunately, unless we did the due diligence and then basically, I don't wanna use the word embarrass the Arietta Town Board into paying for them, they were just happy to let us do it. Of course. That's,
Okay, so Chris, anything?
No?
No? Nance?
no,
Okay. No, okay, so that's it. So I guess, next is, I'm looking for a motion to pay the bills for the abstract from September 9th and September 21st. We did pull the one out.
That wasn't on the, was it on the committee report?
Yeah, it wasn't written on the report, so that will have to wait until next week. So I'm looking for a motion. Neil?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I didn't even
Okay,
notice that.
any round table? Neil?
I had a call today from a citizen who is very active in the LPSA and has been extremely helpful to me in both village and town concerns about the benches here in the community, mostly in the village. It seems they had some sort of, I'm hoping it's a miscommunication between the lady who usually runs this program, I believe is Mitzi Fox, and the mayor. That the way she took it was the mayor said that the village would no longer be involved with benches. And I hope that's not the case. I'm going to reach out to the village hall tomorrow to see if I can get more information about this. But I thought most of the issues, particularly those of storage and so on, were taken care of. I suspect it may have something to do with maintenance. When this program first started, first of all, be careful of unintended consequences. This program was 3.5 times the size of anything we expected to be as far as the amount of benches. They were $500 a piece. Little did we know how many people would want to have their loved ones memorialized, etc. So they ended up all the way up to the courthouse. In fact, there's 3 on the golf course, etc., etc. But it was $500, and the plaque was made, and your bench was built by Jerry Emery, and one refurbishing was included in that. Well, I believe we're almost 10 years into this program now, and I'm guessing, again, I'm just getting ahead of this, that maybe refurbishing time is coming around and there's no pot of money anywhere. So I'm hoping that I can broker something between the beautification committee and those people who have been doing it so nicely, and the village, that maybe we can do some sort of fundraiser. I'd be happy. I have a bench sponsored to pay $100 to keep it going for another 5 years or whatever. But I thought you should be aware of it because this gentleman, about ready to leave for Florida, like so many of them are, feels that, you know, this has got to be addressed before Columbus Day and no one's going to pick them up, kind of thing. So,
There was an issue, I think, this year because of COVID,
Right.
where they weren't putting them
They didn't
out.
go out right away, and I called and other people called. Randy was on Roger about, you know, when. They came out a little late, but eventually some, and then all ended up out, and they're very well used, and they really do roll out a welcome mat. for those people who stroll around, well, all of our main drags. So I will report back to you and keep everyone in the loop, but
Okay.
just gotta calm that down.
Don, anything for roundtable?
No.
Chris, anything for roundtable? Debbie? Okay, so I then will let everybody know that we will be going into executive session, and I'm looking for a motion to enter to discuss a proposed pending or current litigation. A motion?
I'll move.
Second.
Okay.